Hello, my name is Lisa Anderson, and I am a Chief HR Officer for a technology company. I am also the president of Positively in Pursuit, where I coach women leaders on finding their voice, leadership courage, and executive presence. So, welcome to the next video in this video series called Pulling Back the Curtain. I shared in previous videos my inspiration for putting together this video series as I've been speaking with women who have been in toxic work environments, impacted by layoffs, all the things. And so I've decided to put together this series about exit strategies because as women, it's always good for you to have an exit strategy and have the strategy before it's too late. So that's the key. Have the strategy before it's too late. Today's lesson is I am going to be sharing my story of what happened to me when I was impacted in an acquisition. And, I'm educating people on exit strategies. So even though I have knowledge about exit strategies, I even got surprised when it came to me. So I want to share my story, and hopefully you can walk away with some juicy nuggets. I walked away with definitely some lessons learned from my story. So let me share a little bit of my background. So I have been in HR for over 25 years, and I was in an organization where we had acquired 14 companies over the period that I was working there. I was with the company for 9 years. And in the end, we got acquired. So I have been on both sides of mergers and acquisitions. So I kind of knew how this all worked because I've always been on the HR side, going through due diligence, all that. But I had an exit strategy. And as we started going through the process of due diligence, the handwriting was on the wall. I couldn't say that I was going to be surprised because the company was looking to acquire us. They had their whole leadership team. I was a VP of HR in that organization. So, guess what? I knew as a leader and my company is being acquired, I knew that 9 times out of 10, I was going to be impacted. I had negotiated a lot of the severance packages for a lot of the people who had already left my company. Because as HR, I was sort of the last person to leave. I had to exit a lot of our leadership team members out as the new company was coming in. So it got to the point where it was getting ready to be my turn. So let me tell you what happened. So when I started looking at my exit strategy, I said, okay, a couple things are going could happen. I started playing the scenarios out. Okay, it can go this way, it can go that way. So I had my scenarios all mapped out. Okay, scenario A is the company could say to me, okay, Lisa, we have a new leadership team coming in, and unfortunately, your position is going to be impacted, and we do not have a role for you. That's option one. And I knew that was a valuable option, right? That was the option that I'm thinking, okay, this is the way this is going to go. Option two was, okay, Lisa, we've looked at our team, we're looking at your team. We would love for you to stay. Maybe, we don't have a VP of HR, or maybe the VP of HR is going to be transitioning for us and we're going to have a role open. And since you're already in the role for your company, we would like for you to stay. Option two. Those were the two options that I thought that I had. And so when it was my turn from a meeting with the new senior, vice president of HR. I'm thinking, okay, him and I are going to have a discussion, and this is going to be my two options. That's exactly kind of what I was thinking. Well, guess what? I got in the room and I did not think about the third option. And here was the third option. He sat me down and he said, Lisa, we do have a position for you. However, the position we have for you is an HR business partner role, reporting into a young lady who had about 8 years of HR experience. I was a VP in the organization with over 15 years of experience. So the offer on the table was for me to be demoted 3 levels down and report into a young lady who had 8 years of HR experience. That was the option that I was not prepared for. I was not prepared for that option. Had no idea that that would be an option on the table. And so in the room, my eyes got big, like, what? And so, unfortunately for the senior vice president of HR for that new company coming in, unfortunately for him, he was speaking to someone who had negotiated all of the packages that had left the organization. So once he presented that offer to me, I said to him, well, I would like to change this meeting to a transition meeting because I'm sorry, that's unacceptable. And here is what I'm asking for from the company. I want this many months in severance. I want this, I want that, I want this, and I want that. Now, his eyes got as big as my eyes were. And he goes, oh, yes, oh. And he said, well, I'm not sure if we can do all of that. I'm going to have to speak to the CEO. I said, you do that because I know I have knowledge of every individual who has left this organization. I know what they received because my signature is on every severance agreement that has left the company. So yes, you do that and you speak to the CEO. And if he has any questions, tell him to call me. And I got up and I left the office, his office, and I got back to my office and I grabbed my purse and I left for the day. And got in the car and I was like, wow, really? So the moral to that story is even though you think you have it all together and you have your strategy all together with the way you think things are going to go, you always got to be ready for the blind side because I was blindsided. And I never thought that that would be an option to demote me 3 levels down and think that I was going to accept that. And from his perspective, maybe he thought he was doing me a favor. I don't know. Um, but I did not take it as that. I took it as a slap in the face. Like, really? Is that what we're doing here? So the end to the story was, of course, he went to the CEO. They came back with a package that was satisfactory to me. And I told him, look, no harm, no foul. I will transition professionally if you'd like me to, because I've been with the company for 9 years, or I can leave today. No harm, no foul. I'm going to leave professional whether you ask me to leave today or whether you want me to, transition out to the next person. And he appreciated that. He appreciated the way I handled myself. He appreciated that I was willing to transition professionally. Um, and I did. I did just that. And left the company. But you always have to be prepared. You never, if possible, have at least a plan. I had a plan, right, of what I thought it was going to be. But then the plan didn't, it didn't work out the way I thought it was. The offer on the table was something totally I wasn't expecting. And then I was able to pivot pretty quickly to say, I can tell you right now, that's not acceptable. So let's talk about a transition. Because at that point, clearly it's time for me to go. But here's what I'm asking for and I'm requesting. And the organization, they did the right thing. So as a recap, have your strategy, have the plan A, the plan B, the plan C. Again, I knew the acquisition was coming. So I was already working my strategy prior, right? I had started networking. I had started letting my network know that, hey, I was going to be out on the job market. I had, made sure my resume was up to date, LinkedIn profile. I mean, I was working the strategy while I was still employed. So it was a good transition for me because I already had feelers out there when the deal closed. And I actually stayed a few months after the deal closed to make sure that my leadership team was going to be taken care of. And I'm glad I was able to do that, right? So thanks so much for tuning in. I hope from my story, you are able to walk away with some lessons learned. And until the next video, I will see you soon. Bye-bye.